Is the gender gap affecting you? What truly is the difference between man and woman? Besides the obvious X and Y chromosome difference, what makes a man and a woman a woman? Society has given us the details that women belong in the kitchen or taking care of home, while men should be out working and bring home the money. And this has showed with the gender pay gap because according to Tableau, 76% of women make 76 cents on the dollar that men make. And since we're all women in this room, let's have an example. Let's say we all had a desk job, and then there was another 3 men named, and they did the same work as us. We answered the same amount of calls and wrote the same amount of reports. They would make 24 cents more than us. And while that seems like a little bit amount, at a yearly rate, they make 58,000 while we only make 44,000. And the government has tried to clean this up with the Equal Pay Act of 1963, where they made the 53% raised to 76%, but that's still not enough. And while they have did an even better job at government controlled jobs, that there's only a 2% difference, but until the difference is 0%, it will not be enough. So the problem here is quite obvious. We have to eliminate the gender pay gap. We have to increase the minimum wage of low paying jobs, and also in order to increase, we have to vote in favor to increase these jobs whenever legislation comes. So on average, women make 20% less than men. But this is only true for the white community. As women of color, we get it worse. According to Melissa Higgins, the gender wage gap, in 2014, African American made 62% of the same pay that a white man made, and Hispanics had it worse when they made 54%. The women that seem to have it easiest or the lightest load would be the Asian Americans, who made 90% of the pays. And this is also bad because out of the 30 lowest paying jobs, women make up 23 of them, such as childcare workers, housekeepers, and food workers. 23 of those jobs are dominated by women. Also, as a single mother, it creates a bigger burden because having to support a family making 38% less than a male, and add on babysitter costs, and then you have a dire situation, as many of women have today. A news article that's adequately named the gender pay gap, they said is largely due to motherhood, because companies pay less for when you are in a flexible hours instead of being able to work long hours. And the reason why this is affecting a lot of new mothers is because they need to have the flexibility to go from the job to home in order to care for the children. But because of that, that increases the gender pay gap. While the government did try to make a change by doing the Equal Pay Act, it was still not enough. So the solution for this is to increase minimum wage. 2/3 of women make up the minimum wage amount. And because of this, the minimum wage is $7.25, meaning they only make $15,000 a year. I propose that we should increase the minimum wage to $10.10, which would make an overall of a $5,000 increase, or $20,000 a year, which would affect 15 million women, which will help close their gap and make their lives more financially stable. And also for tipped workers or waitresses, The minimum wage for them is only $2.13. And because of that, many of them live below the poverty line and have to rely on government assistance. With an increased wage of 70% of the federal minimum wage, they would be able to provide more for themselves, closing the gender gap, and also giving some break to the government. So you may ask, what can we do? If you have a job or a desk job where you see that you're being paid unfairly, you can speak out for yourself, because we as women know our skills and we know that we are able to complete a job just as well as a man can. So why not let our bosses know? And it also shows that as women move in to dominate a field such as biology and design that was once male dominated, the pay increase has went down. And in order to change that, we have to show that the same amount of skill is being put into the job. Also, any new bill that has been created that votes to increase women's rights or increase the minimum wage, we should vote yes. Because if no votes are given in order to have policy change, then there is no real solution. It's only a thought. We can work together, and day by day, we can end unequal pay. And don't forget, the change starts with us. Okay.
Good job.
It was so nice.